Conditional sentences. Very important. One thing depends on another. Hi, nice to see you again. Going to go up to the next step in these conditional sentences. We're going to review first. Are you ready? So nice to see you. Conditional sentences are one thing depends on another. There's a condition. There's a condition. Hey, the condition is if you study, you'll pass. Type 1. Remember? Simple present will plus verb. It's real. It's a real one. It could happen. If you study, you'll pass. The chances are you'll pass. Type 1. And then we did type 2. And remember, you can do the flip-de-doody. You just don't need a comma. If is first, you need a comma. But if is last, no comma. I would pass if I studied. Present, past, unreal. Type 2. Type 2. Now, new words, you could say, I could pass if I studied. That's a possibility. I may pass if I study. You can use could, may, or would in our result clause. In a type 2, unreal. New words you can use. And oh my goodness, check this out. The if clause in conditionals, all these words we can use instead of if. We got some new ones. Conditionals, more advanced. We're up at an advanced level now. We're talking about these conditionals. If I study, I'll pass. Provided I study, I'll pass. Provided I studied, I would pass. You could use it in type 1 or type 2 conditionals. As long as. That means only if. Only if. Only if I study, I'll pass. That's obvious. What do you think? You're fucking genius? You just boom, you learn. It's like creativity. Some people think creativity comes from the air. You're just walking along and boom, it hits you. You're creative. That is true. Many, many things happen that way for creative people, but also you sit down, you get your notebook and your pen and you stare at the wall and you provoke creativity and you make it happen. So there are 2 ways, 3 ways, a lot of different ways. Well, with conditionals, provided as long as mean only if. Assuming, we use that word when we're accepting it to be true. Assuming they were there, I'd leave the package. If I knew they were there, I'd leave it, all of you. They're there. I knock, I get out of there. It's a surprise. Imagine and suppose, hey, they're for questions. You're picturing it in your brain. Suppose I went to Michael's house. Would he answer the door? Suppose I just go right over to the airport and say I want to go to Miami. Will they just give me a passport? I don't know. You could use type 1 or type 2 with these words. Okay? And unless, that means if not. If not. Unless you don't study, you won't pass. No. Unless you study, you won't pass. You cannot put a negative with a negative. If is positive, not is negative. So unless you study, you won't pass. Okay? Conditional sentences. You could use these words in place of if. In the result clause, you could use these words. You can use these in real and unreal conditionals. They're good for everything. Yeah? Are you thinking of this? You asking questions? You wondering what's going on? This is thinking stuff. You got to think. You can't just laissez-faire it. You got to think. Advanced grammar is for advanced thinking people. If you know, what would you do if you had $1 million? I don't know, Prophet. I never think like that. Well, you know, you should think like that. Speaking of thinking like that, we got one more conditional. We haven't told you yet, okay? We got a 1 and a 2. Type 3, it's 2 negatives. This is a possibility positive. I passed, but studied, you didn't do it. That's a negative. So that's a negative with a positive. This here, that's a negative. That's past perfect. If I had studied, Prophet, if I had studied, you didn't. You didn't. Now look, double negative. You got your comma. If I had studied, you didn't do that. I would have passed. Would have passed. You got the 3-word combo. And, oh, by the way, you didn't study. You didn't study. You didn't pass. Tampoco. This is the one, you don't want it. This is the one when you keep doing nothing with your life, when you keep fucking around, and then one day you wake up and you go, if I had listened to my parents, I would have a better job. Oh gosh. If my boyfriend had worn a condom, I wouldn't have gotten pregnant and my life ended at a young age. Yeah, these are the regret ones. Would have. You're talking about the past something you didn't do. Had studied, you're talking about the past something you didn't do. Please. Have a dream, have a future. Don't fall into this trap. Conditionals. That's it. That's all the way up, baby. C1, yeah. This is good. But you got to practice them. You got to practice. If you don't practice, you won't. Vanny, Cindy Sue, Martha, girls, you got to study this stuff. Notice how I didn't mention any guys? How come the guys aren't up there with the girls in terms of competing with ambitious dreams? I love you. Have a great day. See you soon.